So I saw this one online this morning and it kind of divided opinions straight down the middle. So I thought we could talk about it. I'd give my opinions and then you can talk in the comments about it and we can discuss it there. So basically, the WRU has gone to the regions, cap in hand, asking for this year's Six Nations, given it is so big, with it being Steve Tandy's first Six Nations. The road to the World Cup is really important now, and that the autumn was, although we beat Japan, which was crucial, not the most successful period, but there was some green shoots. So they've asked, can we have some more time? I would imagine it's only going to be another week, because of course these teams have games. So what a lot of people online were saying, this is great. They should have more time with Wales. It's going to improve the chances of Wales in the Six Nations. Longer prep is going to be better. Then there was a lot of people saying, kind of, how dare you come to the regions given what the hell's going on? And, you know, if you'd have asked me this 12 months ago, and I think, to be honest, if you'd asked the regions 12 months ago, can we have them a week earlier? This is really crucial for Welsh Rugby. We need to perform better. We need to start getting those gate receipts back up, because ultimately that's probably what this is about. I would have said, yeah, I mean, it sucks for the regions, but if they can do it, and they probably should, given we're trying to all build to the same end goal, that they should give up the players a little bit early. If it's, you know, within reason. You don't want to be having, like we did in the South Africa game, where Cardiff lost their two first hookers, the Ospreys lost pretty much their whole team, both of their scrum halves, the Scarlets lost nearly an entire back line. It was just, for that South Africa game, it just wasn't, it didn't make sense for club or country. But anyway, we've discussed that in previous videos. So would this improve the national side? Yes, I would think it would. An extra week in camp with the coaches, giving them a chance to work that blueprint, the game plan, exactly what they're going to be doing. More time together, more time to work on partnerships. It would definitely improve things. Will the regions agree to this? And I kind of compiled a little list, and then I can let you decide whether the regions will or should agree to this. So just a little timeline of maybe the last 12 to 18 months. The One Wales strategy came out. Apparently there was enough funding for 4. Then the PRA didn't get signed for ages. No one could understand why, until eventually it's transpired that Cardiff and the Helford Capital, they didn't have the money they said they were going to, even though they got vetted by the WRU. They didn't have the funds that they said they had, and they basically went bust. The union had to come in, save Cardiff, we know that, like they've done for Llanelli back in the day, the Dragons not too long ago. You know, pretty much everyone has had a handout at some point from the WRU, even though Cardiff are getting kind of beat up in the comments quite a lot recently, I've noticed. The West teams understandably wouldn't sign this because there was no assurances, or whatever assurances they needed, that Cardiff wouldn't get preferential treatment. They probably would have, and even if they didn't, they were still getting money from the WRU more than every other region, because the WRU had to pay for their bill. Then the union kind of called the bluff of the West Wales teams and basically went all in and said, actually, there ain't enough money for 4. Now we're going to go down to 3. Now you have to deal with that, work it out amongst yourselves. Obviously that caused a lot of consternation, a lot of confusion, and a lot of disappointment that this is the road they were going down, and frustration. Then the union said, don't worry, we're going to come out with a plan. We're going to offer you some offers, and we can talk about different things. They came up with 4 options, A, B, C, D, all different ways they would tier it. 4 teams funded different, 3 funded different, 3 funded the same, blah, 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 blah. They were all priced incorrectly. The funds didn't match up right in all of them, except for D, which was the one they wanted. But they didn't want D, they wanted D+. They wanted D+. Don't worry, it's got a plus at the end. So that was what they wanted, their D+. That was the only one that was costed accurately, given the budget that was going to be available. And then there was a lot of backlash for that, because no one wanted to go down to 2 teams. 2 brand new entities basically meant everyone was losing out. There was a lot of pushback against the union. They kind of said, right, we've listened to you, and we're actually just going to cut down to 3, which might have been their original goal anyway, and they just kind of used the 2 threat to get to where they want, but that's just speculation. And then they said they'd be working collaboratively to come to a decision. But then it transpires, I did in a video a few weeks ago, that they went to the negotiations with the Dragons with basically, it was basically a sham. They turned up and 10 minutes before the meeting, they sent them a 50-page document of the stipulations that had all changed. The Dragons were kind of blindsided. They lasted 10 minutes. They couldn't have even started to negotiate what those stipulations were because they were just impossible to accept as an owner of a company. So then they walked out, and we're kind of in the same spot. And then, we had the South Africa game, which left the teams basically with the bare bones of the squad. You had the Ospreys playing players out of position. Everyone was drafting players up from their academies into the first team just to fill gaps. Cardiff were getting loans from hookers for Bath, who haven't even played for Bath's senior team, I think, and basically just to fill a gap. Then Dave Retton goes on TNT before the South Africa game and says that even though we've decided we're definitely cutting down to 3 teams, we still have to give 4 teams to the URC, so we're going to be finding a team to fill the gap of the team they're going to cut. Make it make sense, somebody. So they're going to be using time, energy and funding to either scour the world for a team to fit in the slot of whatever team goes, or they're going to be possibly putting a semi-professional SRC team in the URC. That is insane. The fact that he even said that is just actually mentally insane. It's a player welfare. It's a competition. It puts the integrity of the competition completely up in the air. It makes it a joke. If you're just all of a sudden just going to drop a semi-professional team in there, if they went it into a meritocracy where they said whoever wins the SRC will go into the URC for a couple of seasons, that could mean you'd have Cardiff Rugby and Cardiff RFC both in the league at the same time. It's crazy. Then he was pictured laughing when we was 60 points down or something in the box. He's constantly said that he doesn't care about the history. You have to take all the emotion out of it. And then there's the rumours of the Y11, who were the owners of the Ospreys, apparently in for Cardiff. If that happened, then they would probably disband the Ospreys or try and merge them with Cardiff. It wouldn't, how could that work? And that would, whether the WRU say that's open or not, that would be their easiest option, because if Y11 bought Cardiff and closed down the Ospreys, it takes the decision out of their hands and puts it on Y11, and then they can just say, we didn't make that decision, Y11 did. That is all up in the air, by the way. That is just a rumour that is heavily circulating right now, and just from a Cardiff fan who follows all of the ins and outs of Cardiff rugby, 99% of Cardiff fans do not want that. They would be very much against that, and they would probably protest against that if they were going to close down the Ospreys just to take over Cardiff. So I just want to put that out there. We, as regional supporters, need to try and stick together a bit now. I know it's easy for me to say. I know my club is almost certainly safe, but we really need to try and not be divided. And it's us against the WRU at the moment, not the other way around. We're not against each other. That's the way I see it. Anyway, off my soapbox. So then, given all that, everything I've just laid out, after he told you he doesn't care about you or your club's history, then he comes and says, oh, by the way, can we have your players for a bit longer when they're supposed to be contracted to you? Tell him to where to go, I reckon. I know that sounds really negative, and it would be to the betterment of the Welsh national team, and I bemoan the Welsh national team all the time on this channel, because we've just been constantly losing for nearly 3 years now. But it's just the goal of the man and the union to be basically saying, we don't care about you, we're definitely going to be getting rid of one of you, but can we have a favour? It's mad. It is madness. And just important to say as well, this would not cover any players that are based outside of Wales. So basically, it'd be the same thing as the South Africa squad. They would have an extra week of training, which would still be beneficial. But, Jan Goyadav, Jenkins, Thomas Williams, Max Llewellyn, they wouldn't be in the squad earlier. They would still be coming in later. So then you'd have a thing where you have a fractured meetup where players come in later than others. Other people are going to be further ahead. Oh, God. It gives me a headache. So, yeah, basically, it's a mess. And I just think the goal of the union to come and ask a favour from the clubs when all this is going on is just a complete and utter slap in the face. And where are we? We're no further to working out who's going. When's it going to happen? We don't know. It's all just up in the air. It's all politics speak. It's all we haven't made a decision yet. And it's all just boring and just getting really, really tiring at this point. So, yeah, I want players to be with Team Wales longer. But as a regional fan and as a fan of all the regions, I would tell the WRU to on their bike and get back to Westgate Street. But let me know what you think. I think this is going to be a hostile debate in the comments, maybe. So play nice. I'll catch you on the next one.